Hello students, welcome to this class on 10th class English Unit 1 C Reading. The title of this lesson is I Will Do It. When you want to achieve something, when you are determined to do something, what will you say? I will do it. So the title I will do it indicates the determination of a person. And who is this person? What was he determined to do? Could he achieve it or not? Let us see in this passage. I will do it. Students, before you go into the lesson, just have a look at this glossary so that you can understand the meaning of the passage. Avid. What is the meaning of avid here? Showing keen interest on doing something. Aspirants, people who desire to achieve something. D-Day. What is the meaning of D-Day? A date on which something important is going to happen. Thrilled. Thrilled means excited or extremely happy. Heavy voice. That means sad voice. Expenses, payments. Circumstances, situations or conditions. Teenager, a person aged between 13 and 19. Bitter truth. What is the meaning of bitter truth? Unpleasant truth. Dreams burnt to ashes. That means dreams got completely destroyed. Hopes got shattered. Fulfilling. Fulfilling means satisfying. Introvert. A person who prefers to spend time alone. Okay. First, we shall discuss some paragraphs given in this passage, and after that, in the second video, we shall discuss the remaining words in the glossary. Okay. I will do it. This is C reading. He was in this picture actually. Look at this picture first of all. You see a person who seems to be very successful, who seems to be in a high position in his life. Can you guess who this man is? Yes, this is Mr. Narayana Murthy, founder of a famous software company. Now let us discuss how he lived in his childhood, how he faced some adversities or problems in his childhood before he became a successful man in life. He was short, he was sharp, he was the brightest boy in his class. His seniors used to ask him to solve their difficulties in science. He could have gone unnoticed in a crowd, but once you asked him a question related to physics or maths, there was a spark in his eyes. He could grasp theories of science faster than the speed of light. Now let us know some points from this para. He was short, he was sharp. So this Narayana Murthy, in his childhood, physically he was looking very short, but mentally he was very sharp, very quick boy, quick learning boy. He was the brightest boy in his class. As you know, bright, brighter, brightest, superlative degree. So what kind of boy was Narayana Murthy in the class? The brightest, the most intelligent, the sharpest boy in his class. His seniors used to ask him to solve their difficulties in science. He could have gone unnoticed in a crowd, but once you asked him a question related to physics or maths, there was a spark in his eyes. So his seniors, Narayana Murthy's seniors, whenever they asked him to solve their doubts, he would answer their questions or solve their problems very easily within no time, within a short time, because he was the brightest boy in the class. Even his seniors, not his classmates, you must remember this, his senior students, even they used to ask Murthy to solve their difficulties in science. And he could have gone unnoticed in a crowd, but once you asked him a question related to physics or maths, there was a spark in his eyes. So he was a very shy person. This Narayana Murthy, when he was a child, he was a very shy person, aloof person. That's why he could have gone unnoticed in a crowd. That means when he was among a group of children, nobody would notice him. But when he was alone, when somebody went to him to clear a doubt, then how would he respond? How would Murthy respond? Once you asked him a question related to physics or maths, so if any senior of or in any of his if any of Murthy's classmates would ask Murthy to solve their problem in physics or mathematics, how he would solve them, how he would solve it. So very easily, there was a spark in his eyes. That means there was some kind of light on his face, some kind of enthusiasm or happiness on his face. So within a short time, very happily, he would very actively he would respond to that question. He would answer that question very easily. He could grasp the theories of science faster than the speed of light. So he was a quick learning child, Narayana Murthy, as a child. He could grasp, that means he could understand theories of science faster than the speed of light. So light, speed of light. So if you want to compare the speed of anything or any person, you simply say he is as quick, he is as fast as light. So light is said to be the fastest in the world, in the universe. Just like that, this Murthy, he would understand the theories of science, and he would solve the problems in scientific science faster than the speed of light. That means within no time, in a very short time, he would solve the problems of his seniors. Next, he came from a poor but educated family. His father was a high school teacher and an avid reader of English literature. He, like all other boys in his class, was trying to get admission into some engineering college. Right. He came from a poor but educated family. So, in what kind of family was Murthy born in? Yes, he was born into a poor but educated family. So his family, it was a middle class or lower middle class family or a poor family, but educated. His father was educated, and some of the members of his family were also educated. His father was a high school teacher. What was Murthy's father? He was a high school teacher and an avid reader of English literature. Avid reader. Avid means what here? Showing keen interest on doing something. So his father was very much interested. He was a teacher by profession, but he was very much interested, very keen on reading English literature, knowing about English poets, English language, and all those things. He, that means Murthy, like all other boys, all the boys in his class, was trying to get admission into some engineering college. So after completing his intermediate or PUC, Murthy also wanted to join some of the engineering college, one of the engineering colleges in his hometown, just like his classmates. Naturally, bright students, they want to join engineering colleges. It is common even today, not just in those days. Okay, so that was the idea of some bright boys, but the brighter ones means the sharpest ones in the classroom, the cleverest boys in the class, in Murthy's class, including Murthy. So what was their wish? Where they wanted to study? They wanted to study in the yes, they wanted to study in the Indian Institute of Technology or the IITs. So, what was the goal? What was the ambition of the brightest students in those days? What was the ambition of Murthy in those days? To study in the IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology. Full form of IIT is the Indian Institute of Technology. So he wanted to study not just in a local engineering college, but he wanted to get an admission into one of the IIT colleges. That was his ambition. That was his strong desire. There was an entrance test for IIT. This boy, along with his friends, applied to appear for the test. They did not have any special books or coaching. All these IIT aspirants would sit below the shade of a stone mandap close to Chamundi Hills in the sleepy town of Mysore. So, just like students have to appear for an entrance test to get admission into the IITs. In those days also, there was an entrance test for IIT, for admission into IIT. This boy, that means Murthy, along with his friends, applied to appear for the test. For the test means which test? The IIT entrance test. Murthy and his friends. So they all applied for the IIT entrance test. They did not have any special books or coaching, but naturally, when you wanted to prepare for an IIT entrance test, you should have special books or you should have some coaching. It's very common today, but Murthy and his friends, most of them, perhaps, they were from middle class families. That's why they did not have any special books and they did not have any special coaching to prepare for the IIT entrance test. That's why they all would go for a combined study, a collective study. All the IIT aspirants would sit below the shade of a stone mandap close to Chamundi Hills in the sleepy town of Mysore. So what is the hometown of this boy, Narayana Murthy? Mysore. What kind of town was it in those days? Sleepy town. That means a very cool, a pleasant, calm. So that was the nature of Mysore in those days. All the IIT aspirants, aspirants means people who wish to achieve something. What Murthy and his friends wanted to achieve? To get admission into IITs. So that was the ambition. That was the strong desire of these people. All these IIT aspirants, that means Murthy and his friends, would sit below. Where would they sit? Below, under the shade of a stone mandap. In Telugu also మండపము, స్టోన్ మండప్ అంటే ఒక రాతి మండపము. ఎక్కడున్నది? క్లోజ్ టు చాముండి హిల్స్ ఇన్ ద స్లీపీ టౌన్ ఆఫ్ మైసూర్. సో చాముండి హిల్స్ అనేటువంటి ప్రాంతంలో ఒక స్టోన్ మండప్ ఉంటే దాని యొక్క నీడలో వీళ్ళంతా కూర్చుని ప్రిపేర్ అవుతూ ఉండేవాళ్ళు. దేనికి? ఐఐటి ఎంట్రన్స్ టెస్ట్. Murthy and his friends. Okay. He was the guide for them, guide for the others, while the others struggled to solve the problems in the question paper. He would smile shyly and solve them in no time. He sat alone below a tree and dreamt of studying at IIT. It was the ultimate aim for any bright boy at that age, as it still is today. He was then only 16 years. Now let us discuss. He was the guide for the others. Who was the guide for whom? Murthy was the guide for the others because he was the brightest boy. Even his seniors would ask him to clear their doubts. So that's why he was the only source for his friends. Murthy was the only source, only guide for his friends to prepare for the IIT entrance test. So they would sit together and solve the problems together. And whenever they had a doubt or a difficulty in solving any problem, they would ask Murthy. While the others struggled to solve the problems in the question paper, he would smile shyly and solve them in no time. In no time. That means in a very short time. How would Murthy solve the problems? Within no time. That means in a very short time. He would solve the problems very easily because he was the brightest boy among all other boys. But the other students, they would struggle to solve the problems in the question paper. So it was very difficult for them to solve the typical problems in the IIT entrance test. But for Murthy, it was very, very easy. he would solve the problems within no time, very short time. He sat alone below a tree and dreamt of studying at IIT. So every day, Murthy would sit below a tree, under a tree, and he would dreamt of studying at IIT. He would imagine as if he were studying in one of the IITs. So that because that was his ambition to become a student of IIT. It was the ultimate aim for any bright boy at that age, as is still today. So today also, today also, a number of students, they try very hard to get admission into IITs. They prepare continuously for a long time. They don't take any rest. You see many boys and girls preparing for the IIT entrance test because they think that it is their ultimate goal. Ultimate aim means ultimate goal, ultimate target. Just like that, Murthy was also desiring very much to study in one of the IITs. It was not just the dream of Murthy, but it was the dream of any bright boy at that age. He was then only 16 years old. So he was just how many years old? He was just a 16-year-old boy. He was preparing well for the IIT entrance test. The day came, he came to Bangalore, stayed with some relatives, and appeared for the entrance test. He did very well, but would only say, okay, when asked. It was the opposite when it came to food. When he said okay, it implied bad. When he said good, it implied okay. When he said excellent, it implied good. His principle was never to hurt anyone. The D day came. The D day. What is the meaning of D day? An important day on which something important happens, or a day on which something important happens or is going to happen. That is what is called a D day. So the D day came. What was the D day for Murthy and his friends? The day on which they were to take the IIT entrance test. So that was the important day for them. So he went to Bangalore. He came to Bangalore means he went to Bangalore, stayed with, halted. He halted he stayed with some relatives and appeared for the entrance test. So he went to his relative's house and from there he went to the entrance exam and he appeared for the entrance test. He did very well, but would only say okay when asked. Okay. He took the exam very excellently. The IIT entrance test he took very excellently, but when somebody asked him, his friends asked him, Murthy, how did you take your exam? He would simply say, okay. He would not say, I took it very excellently, wonderfully. He would not say like that. He would simply say, okay. It was the opposite when it came to food. When somebody asked him, Murthy, what is the taste of that food that you have eaten? How is that food? When somebody asked him, what would he say? He would simply say, excellent, even though it was okay. When he said okay, it implied bad. If he said, when he felt something bad, suppose the taste of the food was very bad, he would simply say okay. He would not say it was very bad, something like that. He would not say. When he said good, it implied okay. When something is normal, he would simply say, oh, it's good. He would say like that. When he said excellent, it implied good. If something is good, he would simply say, excellent, excellent. Like that he would say. His principle was never to hurt anyone. Why he would say like that? Even though something was average, something was not so good, why he would say excellent? Why he would say good? Even though something was bad, why he would say okay? Because what was Murthy's principle? Not to hurt anyone. Not to hurt or trouble anyone. So such kind of a boy was Murthy. Then what happened? The IIT entrance results came. He had passed with a high rank. What a delight for any student. He was thrilled. He went to his father, who was reading a newspaper. Okay, he took the examination, and after some days, the results also were released. He had passed with a high rank. Murthy got a high rank in the IIT entrance test. What a delight for any student, not only for Murthy, for any student, if he or she gets a high rank, a reasonable rank in any entrance test, he would feel very, very happily. So it was the case with Murthy also. He was thrilled. He felt very, very excited, very, very happy, pleasant. He went to his father, who was reading a newspaper. So he wanted to share his happiness with his parents. First, he went to his father to tell about his rank. Then what his father was doing? He was reading a newspaper. Anna, I have passed the exam. Well done, my boy. I want to join IIT. Anna, I have passed the exam. How did Murthy address his father? He did not address his father, Dad, Father. He did not say like that. He addressed him with the word Anna. What is the meaning of Anna actually? It is a word used to address an elderly person in a respectable way. Anna means addressing, a word used to address a person in a respectable way. Okay, respecting word only. Anna, I have passed the exam. Well done, my boy. Father complimented him. Very well done, my boy. Then, I want to join IIT. Then Murthy expressed his desire or wish. He said, Father, I want to join IIT. I want to study in IIT. His father stopped reading the newspaper until Murthy said that, told his father that he wanted to join IIT. His father was just reading the newspaper. He did not lift his head. When Murthy said, I want to join IIT, his father stopped reading that newspaper and he lifted the head. That means he raised his head and he looked at the boy Murthy and said with a heavy voice, my son, you are a bright boy. You know our financial position. I have 5 daughters to be married off and 3 sons to educate. I am a salaried person. I cannot afford your expenses at IIT. You can stay in Mysore and study as much as you want. So Murthy's father, he was happy that his son had passed with a high rank in the IIT entrance test. But he had some problems. He had some financial burdens. So what did he say? My son, you are a bright boy. Murthy, I know that you are a bright boy. You study very well. You know our financial position. You have to understand my family position also, financial position. I am not a millionaire. I have 5 daughters to be married off. You have 5 sisters. All of them are still to be married. I have to marry them off and 3 sons to educate. You have 3 brothers also. I have to educate 3 of your brothers and I have to get 5 of your sisters married. So don't forget that. I am a salaried person. So my salary is very limited because I am just a school teacher. I cannot afford your expenses at IIT. I'm afraid I may not be able to send you to IIT. Murthy's father expressed his helplessness. He did not say no, but he expressed his helplessness. He told Murthy about his real troubles, burdens, family burdens. You can stay in Mysore and study as much as you want. Murthy, if you want to study engineering in one of the colleges in Mysore, I am ready to join you there. But straight away, I cannot send you to an IIT because you have to understand my problem. So that way, he told his son. Then what was Murthy's reaction? Indeed, really, it was a difficult situation for any father to say no to his bright son. So Murthy was a bright student and he got a high rank in the IIT entrance test. Naturally, if it were any other person, he would simply say, Okay, I will join you in IIT. But what about Murthy's father? He was not unwilling. He was willing to join Murthy in one of the IITs, but his financial position did not support him. His family burdens did not support him. That's why he could not say no to his bright son. It was very difficult for him to express his helplessness before his son. But circumstances were like that. Circumstances means situations. Conditions were like that. Family conditions, situations were like that. It was common then for the man to be the single earning member with a large family dependent on him. So it was common then for the man to be single earning member. So Murthy's family was a joint family or a large family. His father was the only earning member in the family. That means he was the breadwinner. You can call breadwinner. If only one person in a family earns money for the rest of the members, he is called a breadwinner, a single earning member. So who was the single earning member in Murthy's family? Only his father. His mother was not working, his sisters were not working, his brothers were not working, and he was still a student. That's why there was no other supporting member in terms of finance. So he was the single earning member with a large family dependent on him. So all the members, Murthy's sisters, Murthy's brothers, Murthy, his mother, all of them, they were all dependent on Murthy's father only, because he was the only earning member in the family, breadwinner in the family. So this is what we have to understand. Students, let us stop this video here. In the next part, I am going to discuss the rest of the passage. And now we are going to discuss some questions meant for your comprehension. Okay, are you ready? What kind of boy was Narayana Murthy? He was the brightest boy in his class, or the brightest boy. What did his seniors used to ask him whenever they had some difficulty in solving some problems? To solve their difficulties in science. What were the subjects Murthy was interested in maths and physics? How could he grasp theories of science? How could he understand theories of science? Faster than the speed of light. What kind of family was Murthy born in? In a poor but educated family. What was Murthy's father? A high school teacher. Where did the brighter students want to study in those days? Or what was the ultimate aim of a bright student? To study in an IIT. What is the full form of IIT? Indian Institute of Technology. Which entrance test did Murthy and his friends apply for? The IIT entrance test. Okay, next. How did they prepare for the entrance test? How did they, means Murthy and his friends, prepare for the entrance test without any special books or coaching? What is the meaning of D-Day? An important day. What was the D-Day for Murthy and his friends? What was the important day for them? The day of the IIT entrance test. What wish did Murthy express before his father? That he wished to study in IIT. Why could not Murthy's father send Murthy to IIT? Because of his large family and financial status. So like this, you can answer the questions given meant for comprehension of the passage that we have discussed so far. Students, I hope all of you have understood this part of the passage. I will do it. In the next video, I am going to discuss the remaining part of the passage. Until then, you just stay at home and stay safe, and just watch the video and try to understand the gist of it. Do share this video to your friends And if you like it, just press the subscribe button so that you may get instant alerts whenever I release further videos. Thank you all.